Ali Vaez is a senior Iran analyst for the International Crisis Group. He told me how important Soleimani is for Tehran and that his death could lead to a full-blown war between the US and Iran.
He was definitely the most significant and important military leader in Iran, not just in the past 4 decades, but probably in many decades and if not centuries. He's the man who extended Iran's influence way beyond its borders by developing what the Iranians call a forward defense policy, which is based on recruiting partners and proxies away from Iran's border to deter direct attacks on Iranian soil. He's the mastermind of it. He was the one who developed deep connections and networks throughout the region, from Lebanon to Iraq to Syria to Yemen to Afghanistan. And he was the one who was instrumental in fighting also Salafi jihadists like Al Qaeda or the Taliban or the ISIS in Iraq and Syria.
Iran's foreign minister said this was dangerous, it was foolish, and the country have vowed revenge. How serious is this? How close are we to war, you could say?
You know, Iran is not a failed state. Iran is a very powerful country. It has a network of proxies and partners around the region. It can go after U.S. and U.S. allies' interests all the way from Yemen to Saudi Arabia to the UAE to Iraq to Lebanon to Syria to Afghanistan. And a conflict with Iran, a real all-out war with Iran, would make conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq look like a walk in the park.
Previous presidents deliberately didn't take this course of action because they feared the repercussions, and you've hinted at what some of those might be. If this did escalate further into war, as you suggest, what kind of support would the US actually have?
I think the U.S. will be largely alone in this conflict with Iran. U.S. allies might pay lip service, but the reality is that U.S. And the Trump administration has done everything in its power in the past few years to provoke the Iranians. They withdrew from the nuclear deal. They imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. They designated the Revolutionary Guards as a foreign terrorist organization. They even designated Iran's foreign minister. And now this assassination, which, as you said, Soleimani has been in U.S. crosshairs many times in the past, but previous U.S. administrations calculated that from a cost-benefit perspective, killing him doesn't really make sense.